He's a West Michigan raised, global experiences, a Jesus chaser, an adventurer and athlete, a sales champion, a leadership rascal. I really like that one, Greg. A Barnabas to business leaders and owners, a noticer, a storyteller. And if you can't get enough of Greg's golden vocal cords when he's up here, you can hear him further in his podcast, The Craig and Greg Show. However, if you type that in backwards and you type in The Greg and Craig Show, it's not a good show. You don't want to listen to that one. So The Craig and Greg Show, it's alphabetical order, okay? C and then G. Welcome, Greg Heeres.
Good morning. How are you all? Corey, the first guy, was Corey still here or no? Is he still here? He's probably doing an altar call at another church. That guy just brought the heat. He had a wooden shoe meeting Helen's friends. That's what he's doing, yeah. Wow. And then Helen, has such persistency. I'm thinking, it's got to be something in the hash browns. I don't know what it is. And then Scott, amazing. My biggest point that I took from Scott is action. Intentions don't matter. And so hopefully today when Eric asked me to speak, he didn't tell me I was be following All-Stars. And then I looked at the rest of the lineup, and I'm thinking, he put me in the middle after break. This is where they don't come out in time and they miss half your talk. So, Sunshine, thank you. And 27 years of marriage, you're a long sufferer. You really are. That's amazing. Eric's going to stop that one, I know. So, my juice is Mountain Dew. And I said, what will you have here? And he says, Big B. I says, I like Big B, but I really need Mountain Dew to keep up. So it's the BYOB. I can say that in this church because it's really not the main sanctuary. It's more of a youth one. So Eric told me that I had an hour and a half, and I said, I don't have that much material. And I says, I'll do my best stand-up. And he goes, don't you dare. So we're going to get started. I'm Greg, and my last name is Heeres if you're from kind of Europe, Heeres if you're from the Netherlands, and Harris if you're from Canada. Just don't call me late for lunch for Chick-fil-A. That's all I'm asking. So I'm going to figure out this clicker real quick. There we go. All right. My talk is about being a ripple effect. And when Eric had asked me, hey, would you do something regarding making a difference, one person at a time, I love that because that's really what Jesus did. He took 12 guys with sandals and just walked one at a time. And he mentored them. And that's kind of our job as business leaders, is to walk with people. The ripple effect is just the continuing influence of action taken, stealing something from Scott. I have a neighbor boy, he's 10. I am sure if I could go back into cartoons, he would be Kelvin from Calvin and Hobbes. He's just amazing, but he's the rascal. And we have ponds by our house, and so he comes over and he wants to throw stones in the ponds. He came over a little late in the fall, and it started to get a little slushy ice, not quite frozen yet. He was very disappointed that he threw a stone into the pond that had slush and it didn't go anywhere. The next spring he comes out and he has 2 big boulders and he wants to launch those things. And so I thought, all right, let's do that. The ripple effect, one pond's about 5 acres, and it was surprising, the ripple from one boulder, maybe the size of a softball, went the entire way of the pond. One stone. And I learned something from Caleb that day, is it doesn't really matter how big the ocean is, just take one stone and make a difference in a ripple. So a little bit of background. Mark did a great job. I just like bullet points. I want to get through it because he said about 17 minutes is all I have left. Right, Eric? Is that what I got? Sales champion, leadership rascal. I'll use some of those terms. Powered by Mountain Dew, tempted by tequila. Don't judge. Don't judge. But if you do want some tequila ideas, come on up afterwards. I got some good ones. Grew up in a strong faith family, awesome parents. I think Helen even alluded to that about, the benefit or the blessing of having really great parents or great upbringing or people that made a difference in your life. And I was very blessed, very blessed. That may be part of why maybe I want to give back more, because I was blessed. Sports, played a lot of sports, sometimes good, sometimes not good. I probably could write a book on the errors I made in life and in sports, and maybe a chapter on good things, and that's part of life, right? Learning. Education. What color college would have orange and blue? I went there, and I never graduated. Really, I never found the library. I just got a GED from there, but I've had a lot of fun. Professional, sometimes not, sometimes I am, but I was a part of a number of businesses, been C-level, been an entrepreneur, started a nonprofit, nothing like Helen's, but it's very fun to give back and to see things grow and find people that have passion that you have. Maximize, I do speaking, writing, consulting, sometimes not in that order. All right, my first B is to be alert. And I think just tying into Helen's comment this morning, she saw a problem. She saw a need. And she was alert enough to kind of act on it. I wonder how many things we missed in our life. A person, a project, opportunity. My rascal part will come out, Mark, since you're kind of intrigued with that. I have a friend who has a nonprofit ministry, and they make talking Bibles. It's called The Treasure. And we smuggled Bibles. This isn't going to go live everywhere, is it, Eric? Okay. My former employer, the 3 letters, will probably not want me to do that, but we smuggled Bibles into China. And you just don't go to China. I mean, you're just not going to make it there without a lot of help. And so you need a team. We want to make a ripple effect, and a lot of things in China, they have the home churches. They don't have like big sanctuaries like this beautiful building. And Chengdu is the capital of Sichuan, one of the provinces, and we got a request from a leader that he would like to supply these home churches with a talking Bible in their language for the first time in their life. They could hear their language. And he equips all these home churches and teaches them, and then he moves on. We ended up calling him the runner, because that's what he did. We gave him 2 backpacks, 200 treasures about the size of an iPhone. He came to us and wanted 2 backpacks. Visited for a little bit with a good interpreter. I'll give my better side to you guys. I'm so sorry. I wasn't very polite. But he came to us and he wept. And we wept. We had a language barrier, and we wept. And he goes, this is manna in his language. And I have taken the Bible for granted a lot of my life, still learning to appreciate it. But he wept when he got 2 duffel bags or backpacks full of talking Bibles. And he couldn't wait to leave. He didn't want to hang with us. That's not where the work was. The work was out there. He ran, he had tennis shoes. Literally, he was a runner. And his influence, so one talking Bible can get to about 120 people. They can hear it, it's very, very loud. His hope was to get to 200 churches, home churches, and give them a talking Bible. He did that in 1 month. And he came back to Hong Kong where we were staying. And we had already left and gone back, and he requested more backpacks. That broke our hearts, because we didn't know the appetite for that. We're here in America, we got churches and CVS's on every corner. But they don't. And theirs has to be very, very quiet. Talking Bible, because you can put a chip in there and teach them anything, and the Bible's on it. We didn't even know it. And he's making a difference beyond our ripple. In business, I was at a national conference, saw a gentleman, didn't know him. He was limping, looked like he maybe had a bad foot or bad leg, and I came up to him, we had our name tags on, and I said, "Hey, Mike, I don't mean to nose, but are you okay?" He goes, "I think I strained my Achilles falling down the steps at the hotel before the conference." And I'm like, wow. "Do you need any help? Where are you from?" "Well, I'm from Michigan." Oh, I'm from Michigan too. "Where are you in Michigan?" "I'm in Holland." You're pulling my leg. That's not right. "Yeah, I'm in Holland." So I made a couple calls, got him an appointment the day he got back with my orthopedic buddy to check out his Achilles. He was floored at just the little attempt to be kind. The ripple effect. Anyway, he didn't need surgery, and he says, "I'd like to take you out to lunch." Sorry, there we go. "I'd like to take you out for lunch." And I said, "I'll take you for lunch, that's fine." So ended up that he was a executive director of a nonprofit in Holland, and he led the entire state nonprofits for disability, people with disabilities. I had no clue. I'm so glad I helped him, but I didn't know who he was because it was more pure. Sometimes helping people that can't pay you back right away is the best. But Mike ended up launching me into my career working with nonprofits, particularly with disabilities. But I wouldn't have met him if I didn't notice the limp. And to me, a limp is really a sign of vulnerability, a chance to meet someone and get in there. At this juncture, I would say he might have been one of the first persons to launch my career in sales. But I met him because he limped. I didn't ignore it, I listened. So be alert, be available. I think that's what Scott spoke of. Be available, be present in your team meetings. Helen's available. She's trying to get people in different states to agree to help, give them license to promote a foster child. Be available has a little more to it than being alert. Being available means you got to do something. Being alert is just observing. Like I said, I played a little sports, and I really like coaching. Some of my coaches were father figures to me. And so I joined at Ottawa Hills. It was the Indians back then. It's now the Bengals. That's a Cincinnati football team, in my opinion, but the Ottawa Hills Indians. And I met a guy through a youth program that we started, a bunch of us business guys. It was an after-school program in the heart of Grand Rapids, D Sector 3. We bought an old theater, converted it to a tutoring place, and served about 400 kids in that area. Did that for 10 years. What a gift, and what a life-changing experience for us. Tyrone became one of my little brothers. Take him to games, help him read, sort of the Big Brother program that D.A. Blodgett has. Tyrone decided to play football. Single mom, no money, but a big heart. So I brought him shopping, get some cleats, and some other clothes that you put under the uniform, but I won't talk about that in public. So we did some shopping, and he was so excited. "You're going to come to my first game." "I'll come to your first game, buddy." So I sat in the stands. The head coach from Ottawa sees me, and he goes, "Get on down here." That's not exactly how he said it, but that's close. So I said, "What am I getting down there for? I'm just here to be a fan. I'm just here to see Tyrone." No, I need you out here." That kind of became my beginning of coaching high school kids. One example from Tyrone, though, about being available and being ready. A play was called, and he missed his block. And that one block caused the play not to go very far. And I got to tell him afterwards, I said, you got to do your job, but you can't worry about other people. And your job is equally important as the guy that snaps the ball, throws the ball, runs with the ball, whatever it is. But one block could change it. And the ripple effect of that one block missed was a bad play. It doesn't mean he was perfect, doesn't mean I was even perfect, but it gave me an opportunity to talk to him about, do your job really, really well. And on film, you'll notice it, right? Oh, he did his job, she did her job. But the be available, Tyrone learned never to take a play off. I think that's our challenge as leaders. Don't take a play off with your team. It doesn't mean you can't take vacation, but don't take a play off. That's what Tyrone taught me. In sales, I really love this lesson called Be Visible and Viable. If you're not visible, how do they know to get a hold of you, even if you have a solution they need? And the viable part brings some value, help their business, make it better. And we have a chance to make a ripple effect when we're in sales, tying it to business. My two examples, one is personal. One is corporate. On the personal side, I had a sales guy come to me and says, I want to be like you. And I says, no, you do not. I'm sure you don't. Your youth pastor would warn you against that, the rascal part. But I said, I maybe can encourage you to being alert, really observe, and be willing to help, because I think that's what sales is help. That's all we're doing is helping them. We might package it a little different. But a gentleman came to me and he says, help me. I said, okay, I'll help. So I said, what do you need help with? And he says, I want to make $1 million. But your second question, because I said, I can't help you make $1 million. And he goes, why not? I says, because I think people will know that you're looking to make money on them. And his countenance changed. And he goes, what would you do? I said, I would offer to help as many people as I can, and you'll make a lot of money. Maybe more than $1 million. That was just a number he picked. So we drove around, went to appointments. He set some up. I brought him to mine. He got to see. I got to watch him. And he really caught on fast. And I said, no, you do this one by yourself. He goes, oh, no. I said, no, you're going to do it by yourself. I'll sit in the car. He goes, no, you're not. I didn't sit in the car. I came with him. But he did so well that I came back to my partners and I said, hey, I think he's got the it factor. But he needs encouragement. He needs help. He needs us to be there. Fast forward, he did very, very well and got an opportunity to buy one of his clients' companies. And to this day, he's been running it 10 years. It's a telecommunication company, doing very well. The ripple effect of him just coming to me being willing to help. Did I really make that much of a difference? I don't know. But his success story is all his. It's not mine. The second one example is a business situation. I had a prospect in Detroit, and I knew that there was going to be questions of, you're from Grand Rapids, you're not in Detroit, are you close enough to help us, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, if I'm available, will that matter? Like if I'm here. It would matter, yeah. So I said, all right, I'll stop by every quarter. So I might drop off bagels, I might stop in on a Friday and just cheer them on. For certain holidays, you might drop off candy. But I dropped off some content, the viable part. And the client says to me eventually, we're going to leave who we're buying from and go to you. Oh, cool. Why? Because you're here. You're available. Our person that sells to us isn't here a lot. I think they just wanted FaceTime. Wanted someone to listen, certainly to know their business. I didn't do anything magical. I just hustled, made myself available, showed up at their doorstep. And after a few visits, they'd be like, oh, it's you again. And then, oh, Greg, you're here. And we're so glad you're here. It just kept on getting better and better, warming it up. But that available part, whether that's ministry or that's business, being available takes a little energy, some priorities. And I wish that we had the crystal ball, because then you'd know where to spend your time. But that's what God does. I'm glad he doesn't. I don't get to have that. Otherwise, I might not try with some people, and then the results would be different. But be available. The next one's be a noticer. I love that word because that's really what happened with me and Mike with his Achilles. I didn't know who he was or what he was there for, or didn't know background, but I just was willing to notice. It's also a pretty cool book. It's written by one of my acquaintances, Andy Andrews. Have you read The Noticer? Anybody read the book? A couple? Yeah. It's a really cool fable. And inspiring, a little bit intimidating, like, I don't have that insight. I'm not alert like that. Hence why I went to the, be alert, be available. But the noticer is noticing people. I think, Scott, you shared something at a team meeting. You noticed someone wasn't doing real well. I think it was a lady. I did pay attention. I do need to sip some Mountain Dew in a minute, but that lady, she showed you something. And you were keen enough and astute enough to notice and not go to the agenda. I've done that too many times, just get to the agenda, and probably missed more opportunities than I've found. But that one encouraged me, Scott, because the person was thinking, I don't matter. And once this meeting's gone, I'm going to go back to my office and do my stuff. And am I making a contribution? But you paused everything for that lady. And I love the word, did you use admiration or adoration? Admiration. People love to be told they're good at things. They don't like to be yelled at when they make a mistake, but they need that help, right? So the noticer is probably one of my favorite things to be. Am I good at it? I'm noticing I'm good at it. That's a joke. Let me get my Mountain Dew a minute. Not quite as good as Big B, but it's got carbonation. So, maybe when I grow up or finish, I'll be as good as Helen. But I saw an opportunity. I noticed an opportunity when I was a big brother, and then I coached at Ottawa. I saw a lot of kids, 18 to 30, young men, doing nothing, really, no purpose, no programs for them, no one invited them in. They weren't around the table with some of us leaders. That was wrong. So I talked to a very good friend of mine, long-time friend. In fact, he sold me my first suit when I got out of college, and it was from Back Racks in Woodland Mall. Oh, don't pretend you're that old. That's a bunch of baloney. That's 19 something. And we had electricity and dirt, and we took mules to school. That's my grandpa said. Anyway, so my urban buddy, he goes, my guys need hope. He works with about 300 men under the age of 30. I said, hope for what? And he goes, hope that they can make a better life than what they were given. I then swallowed pretty hard because I wasn't given a rough life. I didn't get to pick my good life, and they didn't get to pick their bad life. So I said, what's their need? He goes, no one wants to hire them. They don't believe in them. Do they have records? Some do. They just don't look like someone they want to hire. Prayed about it. Hence Helen's comment on pray, pray, pray. And I need to go to the wooden something. What was the wooden shoe? Is that the place? I got to go there. I think I have wooden shoes when I was a clompin dancer when I was little or something, but they probably don't fit. So we had breakfast. And I said to him, Jerry, what can we do? He goes, anything. I said, no, we got to be specific. Let's pray for it. So we left, came back another week. So what do we do? He goes, I don't know. I was thinking God was going to talk to you. I said, well, thanks, buddy. Thanks. And he eventually did. And we started micro businesses for these guys. Didn't cost much. We even got the city to pass all the issues that they have with, if you're going to put up shingles, you got to have these licenses and permits, and they gave an exception. We started 5 micro businesses our first year. I got a bunch of other business leaders to pitch in, and we got them all equipped with a vehicle, and like Helen spoke about, they don't have driver's license, or it's suspended, or they don't have transportation. So we had a lot of things to work through. We started 5 of them. They employ 30 people in Grand Rapids right now. Full-time wage. So we said, well, let's take some of the money and do it again. So we did 5 more. We have 10 businesses at about 70 employees urban guys under 30. My willingness, that was it. I just noticed. It was Jerry and all the other great people that figured out what to do. But that makes a team. I'm not responsible for everything. Helen, you're not responsible for everything. Well, I guess you might be. I'm not. I don't want that. But those encouraging stories from me, watching these guys just love, like, hey, Mr. Heeres, check out my new truck. Antoine, you just bought that truck? Yeah, with my company. And the smile and the joy in his eyes was amazing to me. And I don't need to meet them to feel good like we did something, we really listened to God, but the noticing a need is a big deal. And they're everywhere. I will be guilty of this. I'm not asking for a show of hands. I probably have ran too fast, gone too far, and didn't pay attention enough. And I missed a lot of doors. Sometimes I went into the wrong doors. That's another whole message. Eric's not going to have me back for that one, but a business message about mentors and coaches. Because I had a great dad. I had great grandpas. I think the goal for all of us in business leadership is to be a mentor, even unpaid, no contract. Just say, I'd like to sit with you. And the ripple effect that happens out of that is amazing. So I challenged 100 friends and acquaintances to be a mentor or coach to one person. They decide who they pick. Within 6 months, we had 100 matches. There's no funding. It's not a nonprofit. It's just 100 friends making a difference one by one. I have a few stories to tell you about those mentors, but I'm down to 10 minutes, and Eric's looking at his watch like this. But the mentor stories, because you spend time with them. You get to know their fears. You're a coach, Scott. You're amazing at it. I pretend to be a coach. I'd rather have a football than sit around a table and hand out tissues, but I like to listen. You know, it's how you learn, right? Isn't it right? Would you go in the meeting with tissues? Is that what you do? Or the table has to have tissues? I don't share my handkerchief anymore. I tried that once. That was a bad idea. But the tissues are excellent. Excellent. That's the rascal in me. Here's a tissue, or here's a handkerchief. It's like, that's used. Well, if you want to. Anyway, so the mentors, coaches, and we do that internally in our companies. You got some great companies represented here. Amazing companies. And they're amazing leaders here. And don't we want to get better just a little bit? Like 1%, just a little bit. I challenge us all to be coaches and mentors, and don't get paid. Scott, you can keep making your income, buddy. I'm not trying to tell you, but don't get paid. Just do it because you love it, and you love the person. That's the fascinating part about it. It's just they know you love them because you're not doing it for any other reason than you wanted to. You noticed them. B, the world has good people. If you can't find one, be one. It's not that hard. You just got to slow down. That's my biggest problem. And so I'm going to give up Mountain Dew next Lent. Next Lent. And we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be immaculate. We don't have to have no bad stories. Most of our faith's journeys are up and down, aren't they? I gave my life to Christ when I was in high school. Best decision I've ever made. And then I unmade it, and made it again. And then unmade it and made it better. And that's our life, isn't it? We just make mistakes, and we're like, all right, God, bring me back in. I'm too far away. But I think B1, this particular crowd, you know what that means. If it was a secular crowd, it might not. That's enough. We had a corporate meeting, a bunch of us partners, and we had to be a rascal that meeting. I had one partner that was not doing well by other people, hurting them, saying things and discouraging them. That partnership, we had about 150 employees. So we all had responsibilities, but he seemed to be everywhere, causing a ruckus. So we had a That's Enough meeting. And it took a little guts from us. Hey, buddy, we really love you, but you can't blow up people. It's too hard to find them. And it's not who we are as a company. And he fought it. We knew that. But we still stood up. And he changed because he had to. But if we didn't point it out, he'd have blown up more people. And that's on us then, if we know what's happening. That's enough. By the way, that does not taste good with tequila, if anybody is wondering. So it doesn't work. But it might taste good at the wooden shoe. I don't know. Be a trailblazer. Be a rascal. Be one who made a difference. Try. I dare you. Double dare you. Where did that come from, by the way? Double dare you? Like, what, TV show? Is that, oh, that ages me. I don't know. We had the TV with the ears. I don't know what Nickelodeon is, but trivia, totally unrelated, off script. #1 cartoon on Nickelodeon in the world, do you know what it is? You said Nickelodeon, you know something. SpongeBob. And those voices I cannot stand. I need 2 of these to even do that, so. On a personal note, in our company, there was a situation where we knew this person was not doing well. They weren't healthy. It wasn't a safe situation at home for them, unhealthy, abusive. And this person came in, you could tell it was not a good night the night before, and a bunch of us got together to be rascals and said, not on our watch. We didn't know the situation. We got HR involved, helped this person get out of that situation. And the story is better now. But we didn't do it for that reason. We just did it because it was the right thing to do. Sometimes getting in people's businesses gets a little nerve-wracking, like, oh, can we really bring that up? But when it's obvious, be a noticer, be available, and be alert. In that cool story, the person that was the abuser got helped. And the person who was our employee, our staff person, our teammate got help. That's all I can do. Is it a big deal? No, it's not big like Helen's, or as big personality as Corey, touching the world. I'm coming in for a landing, Eric. You can be really proud of me. He didn't even shake his head. He could give 2 poops about it. Hey, sunshine, is he always like this? Sometimes life can throw us some curves. Who's had a curve in life? You better all put your hands up, right? Who's thrown a curve at people? All right, we've done both, right? And if you know anything about Major League Baseball, hitting a curveball is really not very good. It's not very easy. And some are better at it than others. You're born into a family. You make some decisions that aren't the best. You struggle with anxiety or depression. You may have had a bad thought about ending your life. You have addictions, self-esteem. I'm going to put this down and talk as loud as I can, okay? Hopefully the smoke detectors won't go off. I'm not a smoker, so I had to buy these on Amazon. And I got them in one day. So there's my life. I'll use Heeres as an example. But that's my time. when we are alert and we're available and we're a noticer. Scott gave an example around the table. Eric, you do this as a business pastor. I love that term. I was going to steal it, but I guess it's registered, trademarked. I don't know how you did that, but remember that song, the children's song? I'm not going to sing it, I can tell you that. It would clear the room. But I think that's our purpose, a light. And today more than ever, our society needs lights. You don't need to read the newspaper or the media. They need us. I challenge all of us. Let's be on that team with a light. People are going to come to us. I don't know if you have floodlights at your house, but moths come to the light, right? They don't really know what's going to catch them, and then there's a spider web in the corner. That's our job, to protect them. Draw them to us, draw them to Jesus. But that light example, hide it under a bushel? No. I almost sang it, so sorry. As a young boy, I'm going to guess 10, I went to a church that used to have cadets Calvinettes. Know what that is? It's like Boy Scouts on steroids with faith. And later on this morning, you'll hear a guy that was a ripple effect to me. I think he's speaking last. His name is Mr. DeGraff. That's what he was when we were a boy. And he inspired us. You didn't have to be a stick in the mud to be a Christian. That's not what's going to draw people. You got to be inventive. You got to be industrious. You got to be cool. That's what Claire was to a lot of us. Did we make great decisions after he helped us? No. But the ripple effect was started by him. When I saw him in the lineup, I'm like, golly, really? And I thought, I can pay tribute. I wish we did this when people were alive, instead of at a funeral. It's like they made such a great impact. Who reads a book? I know a couple of you raise your hand on the book. Who likes to read? All right, you all either need to go back to school or get off your phone or something. This is where it's participatory. No, you don't have to come up here. It's okay. Do you have any questions, or do you have a takeaway that you could share with us from my talk or the entire morning? This is the participatory. We used to say we're going to ask for some victims, but that got a little worried, so now it's volunteers. A takeaway, something you learned this morning thus far, please. Yes, sir. Eyes open, touch the world. Do you want a book that is a psychology book or an inspirational book? What would you like? You choose. Inspirational. Thank you. Another one. You got one? Or are you stretching? I've done that at an auction and bought something I didn't want. Oh my gosh, that looked familiar. Whew.
To not just go the bare minimum and to go an extra mile.
That was really good, wasn't it? Yeah. A leadership testing book, like an interesting book, or you want a fable? Leadership book. My grandpa said, go the extra mile, like it's less crowded. But then I realized I was running and he was in the house. And it really wasn't inspirational. Now, if he was with me, I would have gone the extra mile. But another takeaway. Thank you for that. Way in the back, yeah. Be available and be present. Thank you, in all things. So Patrick Lencioni is an author, leadership buddy, and his number one definition of leadership is be present. It's tough to lead if you're not there. I thought, that's just too simple. Then I really kind of thought about it. Yeah, it is. Would you like a leadership book or inspirational fable? Fable, gotcha. One more. I'm out of books. Helen, you pointed at someone. Someone else? A guy right here. Yes, yes. Well, I don't know. That would seem kind of ungrateful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think we sometimes go to events and we're not quite sure what to expect. We kind of put one foot in the water, one on the shore, don't quite jump in. And thank you for being very honest, because we do come in like we've been invited, what to expect. We kind of want to know, where are we going with this? Am I going to be okay with it? You know, they can make me cry, or going to make me join a cult or whatever. But no, this is not this church, that's for sure. But you know, I got nothing. So Helen, can you get one of your books and give it to the guy that's talking too much? Because we're down to the last second. My goodness. So my challenge, be a ripple. You don't know where it's going to go, what's it going to affect. But to stand on the shore and not throw a rock in the water, that's really not leading. This is leading. Throw a rock in the water, see what happens. Thank you for the opportunity to share and inspire, hopefully, and all the languages. I might have missed one or two, but God bless you the rest of the day.